A title match has been confirmed for WWE Clash at the Castle, plus another WWE contract is expiring soon, and future AJ Styles plans have been revealed. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. 1 week from this weekend, we are in Bonnie, Scotland for Clash at the Castle. This isn't the third time we've tried to redo this, honestly, Your Honour. And last night on Raw, we had another match set for the Clash.
Yes, Intercontinental Championship will be contested on the continent of Europe when Chad Gable challenges Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship.
So Gable orchestrated a sneak attack on Sami Zayn last night where he brought out Otis and Maxine and Akira Tozawa to read a statement on his behalf where he made the challenge, and Sami Zayn was like, well, tell him we'll have it at Clash of the Castle. And then Gable jumped Sami Zayn, and in the process of this melee, Maxine, sweet delicate flower Maxine, the master of the Ocean Driver, whatever it was called, the Cyclone Suplex. Ocean Drive was a song by the Lighthouse Family. The master of the Cyclone Suplex, Maxine Dupri, gets knocked off the apron, and Otis is beside himself with this, but he's conflicted, but he puts the blame on Sami Zayn and attacks Sami Zayn to close the segment out. And Chad holds up the IC title. Could that be a future Echo?
It might be, but also it's a very interesting time before this match be taking place, because it's also been revealed, according to Fightful, that Chad Gable's WWE contract, yes, he's the next one. That contract is up at the end of this week.
Yeah, so I think this weekend he technically becomes a free agent.
So I guess he's got a per-show deal for one show.
Possibly. we have heard before of WWE signing short-term extensions to guys just to get them over the line when it comes to a storyline or a feud or a match. They did it with Adam Cole, if you remember, for back one of the NXT takeovers. So it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility if they don't come to a formal deal with Chad Gable. They'll just have a little deal put in place for that week, essentially, just to get him to the match with Sami.
Or it could be a case of any injury time off he had. They always add that onto the end. So it might be the official end to his deal this weekend with a little bit tacked on because of injuries and whatnot. But it's again, we find ourselves in that situation that Becky Lynch was found in around the Saudi show and the Raw show after the Saudi show. Her deal came up the week after that Raw rematch against Liv Morgan. So what's going on with who? What's changed? We never heard about these stories about 6 months ago.
Well, do you know what? I think there's something to the fact that it was 5 years ago that AEW Double or Nothing happened, and whether or not WWE decided to lock in a bunch of guys to 5-year deals when AEW were getting off the ground to stop people hopping over to the side, and maybe 5 years coming to an end. A lot of these people have been with the company and they have seen the company making money hand over fist through numerous deals and situations, and obviously the company now being owned by TKO, it's regardless, despite itself, will make money forever. So a lot of people are going, well, hang on, then if you're getting more money, then I want more money. Yeah. And there's a bit of a hold up, I think, in terms of what people are worth. This is just me spitballing what could be happening. It seems that way with so many stories like this being the case. And Chad Gable is in a fabulous situation. If this had been the Chad Gable of a few years ago, I don't think he really would have been. But the fact that he's in such a hot story right now, and he's probably doing the best work he's ever done, this is a really good place for him to be on the negotiating table.
Yeah, it's a very strong position to be, because he is a sort of wrestler who would appeal to AEW and the myriad of different professional wrestling styles they do across your dynamites and your collisions. He can do it all.
He certainly can do. He certainly can. There's been into these contracts coming up. I think the majority of people I thought will end up probably staying with WWE anyway, with the exception of Ricochet. He came up the other weekend, and I thought I could see Ricochet not signing and going to AEW and having an amazing time in AEW, despite the fact that obviously his partner is in WWE. Like, there's a lot of partners that are split across the wrestling divide.
His other partners in AEW, though, Ospreay. Ospreay put the handshake on Twitter, didn't he? The picture of the handshake, which I think was Trevor's arm with his, and they could run that back from what they did a few years ago.
So you think Chad Gable potentially could be one that could flirtate with AEW?
Surely not. Surely this is just a case of maybe not a Becky Lynch situation in terms of Chad going away for a bit to get a well-deserved break or whatever else Becky Lynch wants to do, but surely it's a case of Chad Gable letting his deal run down to get more money from WWE. They'd be silly to let him go.
I could see Chad staying with WWE, to be honest with you, on this particular one. But hey, regardless, he is facing Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. What if he wins the belt and just runs off into the crowd like CM Punk did that time?
But for realsies.
This time. Also confirmed for Clash at the Castle. We're going to see Bayley defending the women's title against Piper Niven. Normally, the UK and the crowds across Europe are super into Bayley. Will that be the case in Scotland with Viper in the Hydro?
Yeah, Scotland's daughter.
And then Scotland's son in the main event as well.
Yeah, taking on Damian Priest for the title, where surely he'll win, but I don't think, just with the way Bayley versus Nia Jax, obviously after Queen of the Ring, has been set up for SummerSlam. Piper Niven getting in there just before SummerSlam takes place, obviously. I think a Drew win, and then a Piper loss.
A Piper loss and a Drew loss.
No, you silly man. There'll be a riot.
I predict a riot.
They call me a psychopath, but in Scotland they call me Drew because we're all psychopaths. Yeah, wouldn't him say that last week, didn't you?
It's true, and there's part of me that thinks, that'd be tempting. We talked about Gable's contract coming to an end next week. Another contract is set to expire very soon as well.
Angel Garza's deal is this one that's going to expire on August the 1st, which has been confirmed both by Fightful Select and Lucha Libre Online. Fightful Select, out of this story, we learned that the two sides have been negotiating, that there has been an offer on the table from the WWE. And to be honest with you, I can't blame Angel Garza for not just signing it straight away, because he must be one of the most frustrated men in professional wrestling. He is the second coming of Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat, yet he's used like a
kissing cousin.
An English cold instead of Latino Heat. We'll go for that one.
English cold.
Pasty white, basically me. Pasty white cold. Gets no ladies, no mamacitas.
Mate,
that's how Angel Garza's been used.
You get some of the mamacitas, lest we forget. I think there's, again, he's probably going to want to look and get the best deal for him. And if that isn't in WWE, he's another one that maybe I could see doing AEW or even TNA. I know I send a lot of people to TNA when their contracts are running out with WWE, but I see other horizons for him outside of WWE. Maybe in AEW, almost defo a little run in TNA. That'd be fun. In the X division.
Get him re-signed, because remember when he debuted when he was like Humberto's cousin, but really much better than Humberto back in like 2020 or something like that, on the main roster, that is. Just have him as like the mid-card heel, the smarmy arsehole that he is. It just writes itself, Tom.
It writes itself. Over the weekend, we saw Mark Henry writing the next part of his legacy when he turned up at MLW Battle Riot as one of the Beaumaye elders. He and Teddy Long oversaw the ritual combat for the throne of Beaumaye, and according to Fightful Select, it's not the end of things with Mark Henry. He's going to be popping up again in MLW soon. I quite liked him there as a Beaumaye elder. I quite liked it. It was good.
It's like Afa and Sega.
Kind of. But Teddy Long and Mark Henry. Holla holla. Is there anything you'd like to see him do? Like
Teddy Long?
No, Mark Henry.
Oh, Mark Henry.
And Teddy Long, maybe.
United States champion Teddy Long, I reckon. I don't know. I think Mark Henry's future is very much up in the air outside of MLW, just for the fact he wanted to grow his own brand. That's what he was speaking about last week when he was on Bust Open explaining how his AEW deal had not been renewed. So let's see what his own brand is.
Let's find out what his brand is. He surely won't be retiring. AJ Styles attempted to on Friday, but it turned out to be a ruse, a non-salmon jacket coloured ruse. He ended up attacking Cody at the end of SmackDown last night. What is next for AJ Styles after that fake retirement and being told that a title match isn't in the future? What's the plan, Ross?
Yeah, those on Wrestling Observer Radio saying that a match against Cody for AJ Styles will be taking place at the Clash at the Castle for the title, which is obviously the sort of thing you would do after lying to Cody Rhodes, making Cody Rhodes look like a mug coming down to the ring and posing with the freshly retired superstar. Ba-bam! Shoot! Styles clash off the stairs on the floor. Splat! Of course it's a title match, Tom.
And I think they'll have some fun with that. And the nice thing is they set the pace nicely at Backlash France. It was a very technical wrestling encounter. They can now add some extra elements, add some wrinkles, some depth to this by making it a bit more of a grudge match.
A vat of iron brew. Sorry, I had to go there.
Poured over everything. Here's the thing. Where do you put that on the card?
It can't main event.
It cannot main. If they main event with that, then they've absolutely missed a trick, dropped a bollock. They can't.
Open the show, surely.
I think if you can have it anywhere, you open the show with it.
Bookend them, yeah, the world title matches.
Have Cody save the day at the end. Have Cody Rhodes win the title and save the world at the end, at the start of the show, and then Drew lose at the end. What an end by giving a shout out to a Queensland wrestling star in Bobby Bishop. Now, Bobby Bishop is, if you are around the sort of the Queensland wrestling scene, he's not only a trainer, but he's a wrestler in his own right as well. And he's a thoroughly lovely bloke.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give a shout out because now I printed it off on here, but the page didn't print, so forgive me for looking at my phone. Bobby Bishop is walking 35k, which is 21 miles.
It's a long way.
21 miles to help Australians living with mitochondrial disease. This is where it robs the body's cells of energy, and it means that you get organ dysfunction and possibly even organ failure as well. Money to support research and treatment is always needed for that. And Bobby, along with some really, really wonderful people, are taking on a bloody long walk. And if you want to support Bobby Bishop in that, if you're listening to this in Australia, maybe you know the wonderful work that Bobby Bishop does and you want to get involved in Bobby's long, bloody long walk, there's a QR code on the screen right now. It won't take you to a silly Jeff Jarrett video or anything to do with the Wyatt Six, but it will take you to a wonderful friend of mine and a wonderful guy from the Australian wrestling scene doing great things.
And if you do see Bobby on his walk, make sure to just give him a high five or something, whatever you do.
Or some talcum powder.
Yeah, just give him a hug. Just whatever you do, don't bash the bishop.
Do not... We've peaked. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye. Ross, come back. We've got to do another one. We've got...